Hi, I'm Jo, aka Stitchy Cat Lady 26. Welcome to my first Flosstube. After much encouragement and advice and gentle persuasion from my Stitchy Coven and my husband, I've finally decided to take the plunge. So, a little about me and my stitching history. I was born and bred in Chester on the North Wales border, and I live on the Wirral with my husband and our 4 rescue cats. There'll be more on them later. One or more of them is bound to join in at some point. My cross-stitch journey began on a grey March weekend almost 30 years ago with a cover kit from Cross Stitcher magazine. It was a Mother's Day card for my nan, which I still have. I was hooked. As I got more confident, my pieces got bigger, more detailed and more in line with my other interests. As an avid fantasy reader, I love dragons, elves, etc. So I was drawn to Teresa Wentzler, Joan Elliott, Nora Corbett, and eventually Heaven and Earth Designs, among others. I love the artwork of Anne Stokes, Lisa Parker, Amy Brown, Neen Thomas, Selena Fenwick, all that sort of style. I have yet to start any Anne Stokes or Lisa Parker designs, but I have bought multiple charts by both. I mostly stitch designs simply because I like them and only think about what I'm going to do with them once they're finished. Sometimes I see a design and instantly know who should have it. I've kept a fair number, given more to my mum, and given quite a few as gifts. My sister told me she was pregnant by asking if I could get Winnie the Pooh charts for the nursery. This is Luna, by the way. Most pieces have been framed. My uncle had been a framer at one point in his working life and liked to keep his hand in. But I've also done cards, bookmarks, and Mum has made a couple into cushions. I currently have 11 active WIPs, including a couple of Hades, mystery SALs and a gift. For motivation and for the social side, as it can get quite chatty, I'm on several stitching game teams on Facebook. Magical Stitches, Survival of the Stitchiest, Utopia and Harry Potter Cross Stitch. Thanks to Magical Stitches, I finished my oldest WIP after 4 years. So, shall we do a WIP parade? For those who don't know, WIP, W-I-P, stands for Works in Progress, pieces which are actively being worked on. I have a couple of UFOs, unfinished objects, pieces I haven't worked on for years. Okay, let's start. First one is going to be that. Quilting Cats by Mill Hill Beads. This one is Sapphire and the designer is Jim Shaw. You do get the little button but not the frame. And this is how far I've got. So this is just a bit of a fill-in. I can do it in the evenings without lights on, so it doesn't disturb TV watching and that sort of thing. They do a purple one as well, but I didn't like the design so much. So that's WIP number 1. WIP number 2 is Star Cats. Okay, this is where I am. Hopefully you can see it. That's what it should look like in the end. It's from Cross Stitch Patterns on Etsy. The fabric is Blueberry Macaron from Jodyri, and it was a monthly limited edition. So a little bit stiff to stitch on, but I am enjoying it. Okay, next is Down by the Sea. So I'm on the last of the beach huts. There's some clouds to go above and the beach at the bottom. This is going to be a gift for my sister-in-law and her husband. They live on the North Wales coast right by the sea, and they have decorated their house quite heavily in nautical themes. So there's shells, there's crab shells, there's bits of rope, there's all sorts in their garden and in their house. So that seemed quite appropriate. Okay, the designer is Angela Poole, and it was from one of the cross-stitching magazines I got on Readly. Can't remember which one. The fabric is 28 count Brittany Snowcap from Pole Stitches. If I can move Otis. The next one is Candlesticks Stitch Along from Jodyri Designs. We're on part 4. This is a mystery SAL. There are 2 more parts to go. I just ordered the full kit. The fabric is from Fabric Flair and it's called Pumpkin. So it's a bit more orange yellow than it's actually showing up. But yeah, that's going to be fun when it's finished. Sorry. Notice sitting on my stitching as it does. Next is Peacock. This is technically my first Mirabilia. I've done Nora Corbett Pixies before, but I haven't done an actual Mirabilia. That's the finished product, hopefully. Better one. There. Yes. It is signed. This was one of the pieces designed specifically for the Pole Stitchers retreat in 2019. So I ordered the full kit. The fabric that actually came with the kit was quite light, and one of the girls actually went home and started it that night, the night we picked it up on the Saturday, and she reported that the peacock just didn't show up on the fabric. So I switched. I'd actually bought this fabric at the retreat and it just seemed to work really well. And of course, being Nora Corbett, there will be loads of beads on that. Next one, if I can move Otis, because he likes sitting on fabric, is Primrose Spirit. Now this is a Pole Stitchers design. There are another 2 in the series. I'm stitching it on 28 count Jobelan. I can't remember the name of it. Really lucky to get this. As part of the Pole Stitchers retreat, we did exchange gifts. You didn't have to take part, but I did. You're supposed to spend to about £10. I got the chart, the fabric, the threads, the metallics and the beads, as well as needles, needle threader and a piece of beeswax carved into the shape of a rose. So, and I didn't find out until after we all got home who my exchange partner had been. So I was really rather overwhelmed by that one. Not colours I would have chosen, but sometimes it takes somebody else to push us out of our comfort zone, doesn't it? Also from that retreat is the Joan Elliott piece. This is Fairy of the Rainbow, and that's what she should look like. And again, signed because Joan Elliott and Nora were both at the retreat. So yeah, got a way to go on that one yet, but she's beautiful. But most Joan Elliott's are. And that's on 28 count Brittany Raindrops by Pole Stitches. Next we have, thank you Luna. I knew they were going to be a menace, the pair of you. Cryptid Stitch Along from the Witchy Stitcher. A little bit behind. I decided that I wasn't going to do the whole frame. I'll sort of do the frame as the parts come out. Part 4 is out now, came out on Friday, but I haven't started it. The fabric is Zeus from Jodyri Designs, and it was January 2020 Fabric of the Month, Year of Greek Gods. So this is Zeus. I've substituted Jodyri threads for the lettering. That is Black Widow, and the moons are Eye of Jupiter and Tom and Jerry. Every time I pick one up, Luna's just putting a paw on it. Next we have Bellatrix by Bella Filipina. Love the colours in this, and that's what she should look like. This is my first Bella Filipina and I am loving it. There will be a lot of metallics, a lot of beads. This is actually the edge. All the gaps in the skirt there are beads. I haven't actually bought any of the beads yet. The fabric is 28 count Joblin Bewitched by Pole Stitches, and I think it's stunning. Wow, that didn't take long. This is my monster piece. So this is Planet Dragons. The artist is Rob Carlos and it was charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm doing it 1/1 on 20 count Ada. Just purple. It's not a special colour, it's just what I wanted to get a purple to. My first idea had been to do the background in half cross, but I decided not to. So I'm basically working it a planet or sun at a time. So I've got Mars and Venus completed. Good start on the sun. And hopefully, when it's finished, it should look a bit like that. You can get each of the planets individually, plus the moon and the sun. I chose to just do it all in one piece. To give you an idea of how big it is, the fabric goes from cell edge to cell edge. I am doing this, not originally, but I found out that Crafty Rogue Gamer also had a Rob Carlos design to stitch. So to encourage each other, we decided to do it as a stitch along. So if anybody else is doing a Rob Carlos design and wants to join in, it is #RobCarlosFantasySal. So Rob Carlos Fantasy SAL. Okay, we'd love to see some others join in with us. The piece I'm currently working on is this little beauty. I'm not taking it out of the frame. This is Spider's Queen from Little Fairy Art, trotted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and again that's on 20 count Ada. The little needle minder is from Jodyri Designs, as is the little needle minder on the Sapphire Cat. Okay, that's all my WIPs. A couple of finishes that I haven't actually fully finished. This one was my oldest WIP, and thanks to Magical Stitches I actually got it finished this year. This is Fantasy Stitch Along. It was produced by Lakeside Needlecraft, designed by Jodyri Designs. So at the beginning of this year I had those 5 done and a little bit of the border, and that had taken me 3 years. So now it's complete. But this is one of those that I did because I wanted to, with no idea of what I'm going to do with it. It's just on a piece of 28 opalescent even weave, probably Brittany, that I had in. So a little bit of fabric chicken at the edges, a little bit short. So I need to think about what I'm going to do with that. And my other finish for this year, there have been a few other little ones, but I don't still have them. A couple of cards that, and my sister's birthday present. Okay, this is a Peruvian Cat's Reflection sampler, designed by Peruvian Flair. It was promoted as a stitch along by Michelle Bendy Stitchy. She wanted to try and promote the designer and thought that was a good way to do it, and it did get an awful lot of people stitching this. It's just on. The fabric is from Jodyri Designs, quite subtle. The thread is called Dublin, and that came from Mo's sale. That's a cotton, but she does do silk as well, all hand dyed. So this is actually going to be the prize in a raffle to raise funds for our local RSPCA shelter, where I volunteer a couple of days a week. Okay, that's all the stitching haul. So I'll start with Jodyri. I'm in the Fabric of the Month Club and Threads of the Month Club, and I'm in the 10 Thread Club. So these are what we got this month. These are the Septembers. So I'm going to have fun bobinating them at some point soon. And the fabric is sort of a pale green, maybe with a little bit of blue in it. Looks a bit very washed out there. 28 count Brittany, and it's called Timetable. So apt for all those going back to school. This week I also received from Pole Stitches a limited edition Pastels Duo Pack, which I'd completely forgotten I'd ordered. So we have both on opalescent 28 count, no sorry 32 count, Mermaid's Tail. It's actually greener than it's looking there. And Wisps of Hydrangea. That very, very true to life. Which I think I'm going to use for the new Mirabilia Botanical Garden, which is on order. Now, earlier this year I'd started experimenting with dyeing threads. I started off just some white and just threw some green, orange, purple on. It's Halloween. Using some paints from Jacquard. So this week I decided to do a bit more experimenting, and I got another 2 packs. So this is the Lumiere pack, and they are metallics and opalescents. Got gold, pewter, proper jewels. And then I've just got basic primary colours, green, black, white. So that's going to be some fun. Okay, 21 minutes. Not much else to show. A few shout outs. Firstly, the Cryptid Sallies, my Coven, who have been very encouraging and helpful, given me plenty of advice, most of which I've probably ignored or forgotten. So we've got Crafty Rogue Gamer, Mad Morty, DNA Geek Crafts, Fever Dreams, Crafty Rin, and Wolf Down the Rabbit Hole. Lovely to chat with, just so warm and welcoming, and they've all got their Flosstubes and Instagram, so please just go and give them a watch. Some of the other Flosstubes that I enjoy watching: Crisscross Stitch, Lancashire Stitcher, Yokohama Stitchery, Stitchy Reader, Stitchman Darcy, just manic, absolutely manic. I've really got to be in the proper mood to watch him, but then I'd normally have like a Lancashire Stitcher or a Stitchy Reader lined up afterwards to just bring it back down. The Stitching Penguin, Ashley, she's just so sweet. Cross Stitch MD, and that's my cross stitches, but I also do surface embroidery, so I do watch some embroidery videos as well. Otis is looking at me like he's hungry. So I found Sarah Humphrey embroidery really helpful as I'm just really starting to get back into embroidery. Her tutorials have been brilliant, really, really helpful. There's also Jessica Long, Lolly and Grace, Embroidery by Nat, among others that I didn't write down. So yeah, I think that's about it. I think I'm done. So hopefully this will make sense and I wasn't talking too fast. Yeah, I'm going to be done. That's it, just disappearing. Luna's still here. So I shall say goodbye. Say goodbye. I'll just tell you a little bit about Luna. Luna is the latest one of the cats to come to us. We have 4. They've all come from our local RSPCA shelter. And Luna came to us on April 1st last year, just as lockdown started. I was actually made redundant just before that. Did a few extra shifts at the shelter and met Luna. So when they stopped the shifts, I basically just said, yeah, fine, volunteers not allowed. We knew it was coming, but can I put a reserve on Luna for when things get back to normal? And the shelter manager just said, you want to come and get her tomorrow? So we did. She'd come from a multi-cat household. She's chilled most of the time, but she can be a bit feisty. She will have a go at Otis, who's almost twice her size. But she hid for a few days. I actually found her inside the drawer of my craft unit. She must have got in underneath and through the back. But yeah, she settled in really well. She's great fun. Okay, now I'm done.